All right, good morning. Thank you so much for joining our webinar this morning. My name is Camille Balasik. I lead Sequoia's events program, and I'm so excited to welcome you to today's webinar on the Sequoia Innovation Lab. We're going to meet a handful of members of the class of 2020. We've broke this webinar series into two parts, and so today is the systems edition. So we're going to hear from leaders from Alice, Level, Sparrow, Vetty, and XP Health. And then we're going to continue the series on Thursday at the same time, 11 a.m. With our virtual care concierge edition session. And you'll hear from Galileo, Fazera, Pill Club, Right Way, and Wealthy. But I wanted to get us into the content for today. Before I do that, a couple of housekeeping items. So I can see there are several of you already in the webinar. Thank you again for joining us. You are in listen only mode as a participant. We're running this as a Zoom webinar, so you don't have to worry about sharing your video or muting and unmuting yourself, but we do want to hear from you and we want to hear your questions for our speakers. You can submit questions using the Q&A function on the bottom of your Zoom screen, and then we'll do our best to address the questions as we go. And if we don't have time, we have a pretty packed agenda, so we will follow up with you after the session. And just so you know, this is being recorded. Recordings will be available on sequoia.com/events first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll also send you just a quick email to let you know that the recording is live in case you want to pass it on to a colleague who might find this valuable. We'll also include the link for Thursday's session in that email as well. So the agenda for today, we're going to learn a little bit about what the Sequoia Innovation Lab is from Kalina Quabell and Robbie Peters, who founded the program here at Sequoia. And then we're going to hear from leaders at Alice, Level, Sparrow, Vetty, and XP Health. They're going to share their value prop. They're going to share gaps that were exposed by COVID that they've addressed in the last 6 months, things that are coming for 2021. And really these companies are the next wave of tools for HR. So we have amazing presentations from these founders, and we're so excited to hear from them. So thank you everybody for joining. Without further ado, I want to kick it over to Kalina Quabell, who's our Director of Wellbeing here at Sequoia, and she can tell you a little bit about the Sequoia Innovation Lab.
Perfect. Thanks, Camille. And thanks everyone for joining today. We really appreciate it. This has been a program that I personally am super excited about and appreciate Robbie partnering with me on this. So a little about the Sequoia Innovation Lab. So what is it? The Innovation Lab is essentially a team of experts at Sequoia who are responsible for identifying focus areas and pain points for the employers we work with and scouting out new innovative solutions. Our team internally is really cool in that it's not made up of just people that their job is the Innovation Lab, but rather we have folks on our marketing team, on our technology team and security. We have people that are doing compliance and all sorts of different positions. So it really gives a well-rounded aspect of, what sort of things that our employers are looking for. We also took a lot of feedback from you all, our clients, and maybe some of you that are on this call that aren't clients yet, just trying to figure out what are really the pain points and areas that could be improved and try to scout out those solutions. So what types of solutions do we look at? Really, we have vendors spanning all spectrums of employee support. So from mental health and parenting solutions to HR systems and recruiting tools. A lot of the ones you'll be hearing about today will be, of course, systems, but touching on a lot of those pain points like helping, with employee onboarding, with parental leave and so on. And so how does it work? Basically, we started this earlier in the beginning of the year. We did a really thorough selection process, which included a lot of market research, employer feedback, and of course, reading through a bunch of different vendor submissions. And then we matched them with our internal advisory team of experts, as mentioned, consisting of all sorts of different members from Sequoia to really give them a well-rounded support team to help. These teams then partnered closely with the vendors to provide feedback and help refine the employer offering with the feedback they get from clients, but also from their own experience. So we're really excited for the demo day today to essentially show you a little bit about those vendors and solutions that we've been working with, but also some of the really cool ways that they've continued to develop their product and also what's to come in 2021. So anything you want to add there, Robbie?
Yeah, I think just the last part is we've really been building this over kind of the last 6 or 7 years as we've seen a lot of new technology coming into the space. So I've helped many companies like One Medical and SoFi and Carrot and Clio and many of those that I know a lot of folks on the phone are using. And in learning about that, we really wanted to make sure that we could have a kind of this innovation lab to work with kind of great up and coming companies that we saw in the space, so we could work on them also with implementations. So if you want to work with one of these companies, we know them really well as your kind of client support service. They're very well kind of ingrained in making the implementation smooth. So we push them a lot too. So thank you to the founders, because I know there was a lot of pushing to make sure they're delivering the content in a way that's going to be best for you. So just wanted to give that highlight also. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this was a lot of work put into the team, and obviously it hasn't been the easiest year. We had a few hurdles come up that took people's time and effort, so really appreciative of everyone's input here, and for the vendors for being so willing to adapt and support the needs we are hearing from employers through the process. So huge thank you on that front too. But great, without further ado, I think we'll get started. So I'm going to kick it off by passing it over to Avi, CEO of Alice, and he's going to talk through a little bit about their solution. So thanks, Avi.
Thank you, Kalina. Thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Camille. I want to first say we're really proud to be in the Sequoia Innovation Lab. It has been a great experience. We've learned just a ton from the team, everyone you have put us in touch with, and I'd like to kind of show that off today. But really appreciate you creating the program, and it's helpful for companies like ours to have a pathway to this kind of knowledge, so we can get it right. What Alice does is we perfect the paychecks of working Americans. We do that by automating pre-tax spending. All of you know FSAs, HSAs, CRAs, HRAs. We make all of that easy to use for your employees and easy for you to administer to them. We know that pre-tax benefits have been around for almost 40 years now, and they're just really hard to get employers to administer and to run well, and to have employees really get to take advantage of the money that it could bring them. So a lot of folks are leaving money on the table. We see, Camille, next slide, please. Thank you. We see the same issue on the employee side. It's super hard to manage, to enroll, to kind of figure them out. These are the Yelp reviews of the pre-tax benefit providers that are in the space before Alice came along. And we got started in 2014 to make software do the work for you and for your employees, so that they could have a really great experience. Next slide, please. This is the experience at Alice. We believe employees don't need another app to download, another username and password to memorize. That if you set up pre-tax spending right, it should work in the background and just deliver to you either great news that you added money to your paycheck, or questions like maybe we need a receipt, or have to confirm who that spending is for. So this user, Sam, she's a real user. She's in New York. She spent $127 commuting to work. We confirmed that was for her, let her know that she saved some money. She's really excited, engages with emoji, which is a pretty typical experience. Next slide, please. And she can interact with all of pre-tax spending in plain English with the way she thinks about those questions entirely over messaging. And she can do that in text message. She could do it in email. She could do it in Slack, whatever way she chooses, or she can call our 1-800 number. Our brand promise is no forms, no math, no acronyms. So we can interact with your employees without them having to become the experts. We can take away the burden of explaining how FSAs, HSAs, HRAs, and CRAs all stitched together to create pre-tax spending. And best of all, every payday, we let your employees know that you, their employer, raised their paycheck because of the everyday expenses that they made. Since, of course, all of your employees are spending on their eyes and teeth and kids and Tylenol and tampons and trains and childcare. Next slide, please. There's two ways to work with Alice. You can connect your own spending card where all of the data already is. I like to connect my Amazon card and get my rewards. You can also connect your Alice card, which is a flex spending card that comes in the mail, or it can go into your Apple Pay, so you can just tap at a CVS or your Google Pay. And once those transactions come into our system, we use Visa and MasterCard as our bank connection partners. Alice takes the information from those transactions and basically creates the claims on our side. So we just ask your employees simple Q&A as they're spending to give them reimbursements or to set elections and contributions. Next slide, please. So from their perspective, they don't have to sign up for a bunch of different pre-tax benefits. They just signed up for pre-tax spending, which is like the TurboTax for your paycheck. From the employer's perspective, you just have to connect us to your payroll system, and we integrate with or connect with about 50 different payroll systems, all of the major ones that you'd expect. And from there, we enroll your employees. There's no upfront cost. There's no PEPM. We're aligned with you and aligned with your employees to save them as much money as we can, because the way Alice makes money is to earn 50% of or share 50% of what employers save on payroll taxes. When we can find eligible expenses, protect employees' paychecks from the 5 taxes that employees pay, which then protects employers' payroll from payroll taxes that employers pay, and we're sharing in that new money 50-50. And if we don't raise the enrollment in your employee base beyond what your legacy provider had last year, our performance guarantee is in place so that you don't pay anything more. And thank you to the Sequoia team for helping us craft that and kind of get that right, so we can make sure we're really putting our dollars where our mouth is. And our result here is really high enrollment across a number of different industries in professional services, all the way to hourly worker businesses like QSR, food service, and coffee. The brands that care about their employees, like Masterclass on the salary worker side and Blue Bottle Coffee on the hourly worker side, are using Alice today to make sure that their employees are taking home the most money that they can take. Next slide, please. During COVID, we saw all kinds of administrators have issues around responding to CARES Act changes, about making election changes when shelter in place happened. Because Alice is using auto election technology that's tied to your actual spending, we can make sure that employees are, to the extent that the law allows, deducting only what they're actually spending, and so that they don't have money accumulating towards use it or lose it. And that's just a really big solve for employees and employers in terms of making this easy to use and eliminating some of the pain points. Next, please. We've also seen that enrollment needs to happen remotely now, and Alice does all of our enrollment remotely, where your employees are seeing messages over Instagram, over Slack, over email, direct mail to their house. We're making sure we're getting everybody, they're getting multiple touches in plain English, talking about their expenses. One addition we have to our roadmap here coming out of Sequoia Innovation Lab is for that individual who I started this presentation with. When she bought her transit card, she had $50, $53 that can go to her paycheck. We now have the ability in the 2021 plan year for her to say, you know what, I want to split that up. I don't want it all to go to my paycheck. I want some of it to go to my student loan, some of it to go to my HSA so I can invest it. I want to put some of it in my savings account, which she gets for free with Alice, and the rest go into her take-home pay. So now you can spend money on your train, tampons, Tylenol, childcare, and use that to boost your wealth as well with pre-tax spending. We're hearing from a lot of you that wellness and reimbursements is really helpful at this point. So that's coming in 2021. Alice is a transaction, kind of categorization machine. And so we're going to make this really easy so you can set policies and then reimbursements automatically happen. And thank you. And for the Sequoia community, we have a quarter without fees, where if you're joining us, here in the upcoming plan year and you're a Sequoia customer, that's a really special offer that we have only for the Sequoia groups. So I'm Avi, and you can find me at avi@alice.com. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Avi. That was really helpful. And I love, what you said at the end, and this is really where we kind of show the power of the Innovation Lab, is that, we were hearing a lot of people talk about, wellness reimbursements overall and just easier ways to understand what was changing with commuter benefits and everything alongside COVID. So really great product. Encourage you all to learn more. And as mentioned, feel free to put any questions in the Q&A. So next we'll move on to Level. So I have Paul up here, and he will go ahead and present what we did with the Level team.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Thanks so much for having us. It's really great to be here. So my name is Paul Aaron. I'm the CEO of Level. And next slide. We are a employee benefits company offering dental and vision insurance. We see that employees act like consumers in every aspect of their life, and we think benefits should work the same way. Next slide. We started the company a little over 2 years ago and are coming up on 70 people today. Our team comes from companies that have simplified payments and insurance like Square, Oscar, and Uber. Next slide. We are venture-backed and have advisors across financial services, benefit space, and healthcare. Next slide. And we started the company because we realized that insurance has a payments problem. We noticed that insurance is full of delays, paper, and confusion. The best way to see this is to imagine using insurance to pay for other things that you do in your daily lives, like going to dinner, although I recognize that's a complicated example to think about now. And at dinner, you'd swipe your card, you'd leave the table, and if you were using insurance, you'd be wondering if you actually paid your bill or you were skipping out on dinner. 30 days later, you would get a statement from your bank. It would be 20 pages, you wouldn't understand it at all, and it would look so much like a bill that your bank would actually say to you that it's not a bill at the top. They would tell you that they covered the appetizers and that they would get in, the restaurant would be in touch with you directly to cover the main course. It would be a very confusing experience, and we wouldn't put up with this at dinner, but this is what we all experience every time we use our insurance benefits. Next slide. When we dug into this problem further, we realized that actually employers also have an insurance problem. And next slide. And you see this often in the case of supplemental benefits like dental and vision, where the benefits are capped. So for the folks that use their benefits a lot, they exceed their annual maxes and end up having to pay quite a lot out of pocket. And then with many people not using their benefits at all, employers are not able to use all those benefit dollars to help their team as much as they can. Next slide. To make things worse for the consumer, the American networks are not really working for people. So the American Dental Association did a study over 6 million claims for commercial insurance companies across the whole US, and found that 56% of people go out of network. And so the reality is that if you're a consumer, you find networks hard to navigate, and you're not able to get your all the savings that you may find beneficial. So we started Level really with a focus on helping fix these problems in dental and vision. And I'll show you what that looks like. Next slide. So quick demo first of the member experience, and then I'll show you what the employer experience looks like. Next slide. So this is a employee named Lily. She just joined the company, and next slide, she signs up for her benefits in Workday or ADP. Level connects to a bunch of different HRS payroll systems. We pick up the enrollment data, and then we would send a message to the employee and have them sign up seamlessly. Next slide. So the first thing we do is we show employees that they can have flexible benefit designs, and we start customizing the experience for the employees. So the first thing that we'll ask is if they have a dentist, for example, and if they do, we will actually contact the dentist and let them know that their insurance has changed. The employee can search for all dentists nearby, whether they accept insurance or not. You can find them in the Level app, and do cost estimates before you go. With the experience of going to the dentist is as simple as giving them your information and getting a push notification right after your visit, and being able to see all the details quickly after you leave. And this works for Vision as well. And if you have any out-of-pocket costs, you can pay right from the app. And you can keep track of everything and get reminders. So for folks that maybe need to get a second cleaning or just want to keep track of how you're spending all of your benefits, it's really made available to people on the go. And on the employer slide, we found that employers have all these different benefits, and it's quite, and their consultants, and it's quite hard for them to make sense of how their team is actually using their benefits and how to optimize their plans. So we enable both employers and brokers to dig in on utilization statistics and understanding how to optimize their plan designs. And our end goal is to make benefits feel like cash for the employees, to give people that flexibility that they can use them anywhere, that they can go wherever they are, and use it on the things that they care about most. We're finding this to be particularly important in the current era where people are moving around a lot, and employers are needing to deal and give their team much more flexibility, both in offline and online. Thanks for having us. If you want to learn more, go to level.com.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Paul. That was super helpful. And again, on Level, this was such an interesting one because one of the biggest pieces of feedback we've heard from employers is, of course, insurance is confusing, particularly as it relates to some of the areas Paul talked about. And I'm glad you touched on it with a lot of employees relocating and moving around, just making networks easier to find is more important than ever. So really appreciate that. So next up, we have Sparrow. So you'll be hearing from Deborah, their CEO. So I'll pass it off to you, Deborah.
Hey everyone, my name is Deborah and I'm the CEO of Sparrow. About 4 years ago, I was coming up on 30 and 6 of my close friends from college had children. All of them had to go through the process of filing all of the appropriate paperwork in order to get paid properly. All of them really struggled with it. More than half of them ended up making mistakes and not getting paid properly. And my background is in software engineering, and it seemed like this really didn't need to be this way. So we started looking more into this. And we found that on the HR side of this, between making sure that you understand all the compliance side of things, making payroll adjustments, making sure the employee understands how to file their side of the paperwork, this is usually taking, before they start working with us, this is taking a lot of our customers on the order of 10 to 20 hours per leave, even at scale. And this gets even worse as more and more people go remote. So you need to worry about compliance in more and more states. And then even after they do all of that, it still is taking the employee another 10 to 20 hours to figure out how to file the paperwork. If you haven't done it before, I'd say it's roughly taxes level complicated to figure out, but without taxes level support. Request forms, get doctor verification. In between all of that, it's taking them 10 to 20 hours as well. With Sparrow, we have this process down to 30 minutes for HR and 30 minutes for the employee. And the way we do this is we sort of try to abstract away as much of the process as possible. So there are sort of 2 main components of our service. One is the software side of this. We make tracking really easy. We make it really easy for people to file the paperwork that they need to file. We collect all the information we need to be able to help make sure that all of that gets filed before they go out on leave, and then we make sure that we get all of that paperwork filed for them at the appropriate time, which saves them time, it saves the company time, and it also saves the company money because we're ensuring that they're receiving all of the benefits that they're eligible for. And to start off with, we do start at the leave policy level. We're looking at leave policies all day, every day in this area, and we find that there are probably 5 or 10 ways in which almost every leave policy is a little bit broken. And a lot of this is just because they are, they're written by lawyers, so they're all legally correct, but the lawyers don't necessarily know all of the situations that might come up the way someone who's managing leave all day, every day does. So what this does is, so what we can do is we can help make sure that you're using the right language in your policy in order to make sure that your policy is going to continue to do what you expect it to do as your company scales. We're also able to provide some amount of benchmarking data as well. We find, everyone wants to have a generous leave policy so that they can recruit and retain experienced talent. But you don't necessarily want the most generous leave policy just because that's really expensive. So you need to find this balance. And so we can help you understand more of those best practices around that and make sure that your policies are lining up with market. And to do this, our approach is our product is a combination of modern software. So before the employee even starts their leave, we will make sure that we get all that information we need in order to make sure that all of the rounds of paperwork are filed, including medical authorizations and things like that. We make sure that everything gets filed properly on time so that they're receiving all of the benefits they're eligible for and the company saves money. And then on top of that, there's also this service component. So every company that works with us has one dedicated leave expert who will be working with both them and the employee and making sure that the employee gets onboarded properly. So we're also doing a lot of the heavy lifting that HR would normally be doing throughout this process, which is how we save you that 10 to 20 hours and ensure that they have an incredible experience. A lot of our current customers describe this as almost like having a concierge through the process. So if anything ever goes wrong with their paperwork, they know that they have one person who they can go to who can really help them through that. And most importantly, we partner with each individual company. And as part of that, we're able to sort of tailor some of our service and be flexible in ways, in a lot of ways in order to make sure that we're really ensuring that we meet every employee's and every HR team's unique needs. I would be remiss if I didn't show you some of our software. It's absolutely beautiful. On the left is some screenshots of the administrator dashboard. So we try to make it really easy for you to see exactly what's going on with each and every leave, whether it be intermittent or in a new state. In any case, we make it really easy for you to see exactly what is going on where, and we make sure that, and if a leave is not confirmed yet, we'll mark that differently as well, so that you can know exactly what's going on and you can sort of stay abreast of the process and make sure that your employee has all the information that they need throughout the process. On the right is an example of payroll calculations. So we're able to also make sure that we're able to tell you in advance of when the employee goes out on leave. We can make sure that you know exactly what money they will be receiving from where, so that there doesn't need to be any break in their pay. And from the employee side of this is also amazing for financial planning reasons as well. And then on the employee side of this, we really just try to step them through every step of the process. We find one of the main issues is often around pay. So we have this visualization of the personalized payroll plan as well. So you can see really easily that they're not getting overpaid or underpaid, and everything is really, adding up to the appropriate amount. And because otherwise this can get really confusing, because sometimes the employee is receiving pay from 3 or 4 different sources. So this makes it easy for them to see that they're receiving everything they should be. And so if they want to go ahead and check everything, they can. And if not, they really feel like someone else is sort of watching their back for them. And then on the right, we also have sort of like a real-time tracking system so that you can see, so that you have insight into the process. And rather than, just dropping this into the mail and hoping that something works the way you often do with your taxes or everyone does with their leave paperwork, they can know for sure that that things are moving ahead and that they are going to receive that, that portion of their paycheck, and make sure that, that things are going to go correctly. And then we can also personalize this to some extent, pointing out specific things that you would like to point out to the employee during their leave in order to make sure that they have everything they need when they need it throughout the process. And with COVID, as you can imagine, a lot of things have changed in this area. There have been a lot of new regulations around the FFCRA, the EFMLA, the EPSL. So there have been a lot of new regulations, and what we have been doing is we've been helping our current customers interpret those regulations as they came out. We are doing that onboarding, tracking, and managing payroll for COVID-related leave. So when people take leave with our customers, they will we'll work with the employee to set expectations and also make sure that they're getting paid properly. We do all of the tracking for the FFCRA leaves as well. And because we're doing this all day, every day, we have a great system for making sure that we're also compliant that we're helping you make sure that you're compliant in multiple states. So as more and more of your headcount goes remote, working with Sparrow can also be helpful for that. Just so rather than you needing to think about it, you can sort of pass it off to your dedicated Sparrow specialist. And then we also take care of a lot of that communication and assistance around making sure that the employee has all the resources they need around the return to work as well. The team has been very busy over the last 6 months. They've really been doing a lot. Just since we started working with the Sequoia Innovation Lab, we have built out more advanced reporting features. So in addition to the beautiful dashboard where you see everything summarized nicely for you, you can also download specific you can download particular CSVs in terms of payroll or particular information that HR might want. And we're currently working on building out more visualizations for that as well. We also built out that leave timeline that I showed you I showed you earlier there, so you can really have that sort of like real-time tracking process and see exactly, so the employee can see exactly where they are in their leave, and you can as well. We've also really done a lot to improve our return to work guidance and resources in order to make sure that in order to make sure that you know everything you need to know and the employee knows everything they need to know to make sure that they're ready to return to work and have everything they need to be set up for success as they're coming back to work. And then things that we're working on in the near future and we'll be rolling out within the next couple months, or we'll be streamlining onboarding by making sure that currently when you initiate a leave, you would go into the Sparrow dashboard and enter in a little bit of information. It takes about 2 minutes. But if you have a lot of leaves, that can end up being a little bit time consuming. So in that case, we also have some streamlined onboarding with census files. We also the team has been hard at work really improving the dashboard experience and the copy in order to make sure that the employee taking leave really understands what is going on every step along the way, and it's just a gorgeous process. And then we also are starting SOC 2 compliance this month, and we are also expanding out into Canada as well. And the point of this slide is that we have happy customers.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Deborah, for rubbing that all up with Sparrow. I think you touched on a lot of the things that we went through. I mean, as employees move to different states, it doesn't get much more challenging than that with all the different laws and leave laws there. And then, of course, on the employee experience side, our team was super impressed by everything that the Sparrow team has put together, changed, and developed. It really is such an easy to use, beautiful, and seamless product. So making something that is really complicated much more simple. So thank you for that. Great, we'll move on to Vetty. We have 2 more to go. So we have Brad here at Vetty, who's going to be walking through his product and telling you all a little bit about what we did with the Vetty team. So I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Real quick, just want to say thank you. Avi, you did it so well. To all of the Sequoia team, to all of the Sequoia customers, it's really nice to be speaking with you. We appreciate all the feedback, the opportunities, the growth that we've gotten together. It's very meaningful, so thank you very much. To kick this off, my name is Brad Heber. I am the co-founder, head of growth and design for Vetty. To give a little bit backdrop on what Vetty does is Vetty provides frictionless screening at scale to businesses that are really hiring. We have some really exciting customers. Some of them you may recognize, some of them you may not. WAG being one of the largest dog walking companies in the world. If you're a pet owner, you probably are very familiar with them, one of our customers. We help Code Ninjas, which is a organization to help the youth learn how to code and develop. We do that for all of their retail business. And then we've got some really fun customers like Masterclass, who just won one of the top 100 startups in the country. So really exciting times. Now down at the bottom here, you'll see that we've got a couple special call outs. And we're talking about Lauer's Risk Group, Greenhouse, Fountain, Sempervirens. And these are really our strategic partners, our integration partners, our technologies that help us do more business with you guys and make it in a more meaningful and a special way. So next slide, please. So what is Vetty? I'm going to kind of jump into the product side of things. So we've heard a lot about the healthcare side, right? About how you have active employees in a program. Well, what we're here to do is help you onboard prospective customers, right? Or prospective candidates. So this kind of all happens under the Vetty ethos, and we just believe that, you know, delivering friction-free screening is an incredibly important experience when it comes to onboarding new applicants. So we have one product with 3 functions, right? So starting off on the left side, you've got the client screening platform. And this is really like the dashboard, right? The dashboard gives you 2 things. It gives you awareness and it gives you action, which is the most important stuff that HR teams and recruiting teams are looking for. The middle section is the candidate details. So if you've ever ran a background screening report on someone, typically the hardest part is actually the response, right? Like all of this disparate data that lives in complicated formats and it's all over the place, we make that very simple. Now the most probably provocative piece is the third piece, and that's on the right. And that's the candidate-centric, it's the Vetty verified profile. And it's the way that an applicant gives and provides their information to us so that we can run a successful background check. You mind hitting the next slide, please? So I'm going to walk through each of these, right? So the dashboard, we kind of use this word in a fun way, but we say that it's preposterously easy to use, right? Product that is built for throughput needs to be simple. Now we talked about 2 things earlier. We talked about what HR recruiters want. They want awareness and they want action. So our entire platform is navigatable in 2 clicks, gives them exactly what they're looking for. They hit the actions button and they know exactly what step to take. Let me go a step deeper on that. Can you go to the next slide? So when we talk about the candidate details page, right, this is the summary of all of the really important information. We break it out into essentially 5 sections. The first is like this overarching candidate details, name, date of birth, when were they added, what type of package are they using. Number 2 is the actions in the compliance wizard. The easy way to explain this is it's a tool to help you keep out of harm's way from making a compliant pitfall. The third is the activity feed. The biggest thing about background screening is the frustration around knowing where the candidate is at in the experience. They say it goes off into the abyss. We give you real-time line of sight every step of the way throughout the entire process, which is really helpful to hitting those hiring deadlines. The fourth is the applicant doc storage. So this is a document repository. In the event that you're ever audited, you have snapshots of every single background check that's been run, all the details that are underpinning to it, and anything to keep your lawyers and attorneys happy. And the 5th piece is the verified profile and the background screening results, right? So some of our competitors, you'll see this spread across 5 pages. We have it in one little section. You hit a caret and drop down, and we'll show you all the results that you need. You might hit the next slide and we'll go into that piece of it. So kind of looking at this kind of blown out, right? The area that I want you to focus in on is the background checks on the right, which is the roll-up. This is replicative of the candidate's profile, so you can see all of the results in one slide without downloading anything. It's extremely simple. Now, most of the customers we work with, sometimes they're hiring 50, sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's thousands of people a month. Regardless of your size, being able to evaluate this complex data in a simple way is just a huge, huge breath of relief for a lot of customers. You mind going to the next slide? And now, the piece that we get most excited about, right? This is the verified profile, and this is the way that a candidate inputs information. So if you've ever had a background check that's just gone sideways, right? Or maybe they put in the wrong social security number, and next thing you know, there's delay after delay after delay. And another term for that's called friction, right? Onboarding friction. What our background check, what our verified profile does is eliminate virtually all of the friction that exists in a background screening process, because candidates are providing information in a way that they're used to do it. Next slide. So the important question is, what are people asking of Vetty right now? What do they want during COVID? And I can tell you this, is that hiring has slowed down, right? We all know this is true. But you still want two things, and this is the underpinnings that we hear every single day right now. Can you help us save money? And two, can you give us flexibility? And here's what we're here to say, or here's what we're here to do. We're here to give you both of those. So here's some pricing, just straight out of the gate, right? This is our most common package used across every single customer. I can virtually guarantee you that if you take a snapshot of this right now and compare it to your pricing, you're probably saving over 35%. Part of that comes from our strategic partners. Part of that comes from innovative tools that we've got, but we are here to deliver savings to you at the end of the day. Now, the second piece of that is flexibility. Here's what our competitors are doing. You need to have a minimum threshold. Here's your terms to the agreement. It's a very complex, very RFP-ish type process. We're 100% pay as you go, no minimums, no maximums. You can sign up and get started with us literally in 10 or 15 minutes. The implementation and rollout is extremely easy. We're really proud of what we're able to do and what we're able to accomplish with customers very, very quickly. We're what some people call low-hanging fruit. All right, next slide. So what are we working on next? I've got about 20 seconds left. What are we working on next? We are working on releasing our lever integration in Q4. We are working on our Jazz HR integration in Q4. We are working on building out and taking all of these resources to the Sequoia customers and the Sequoia partners. We are doing everything that we can to make doing business with Vetty as easy as possible. And then the second thing that we're working on that we're really excited about is providing tools to candidates, to job seekers, so that they can apply to businesses like yours with verified information, increase their chances, lower their hiring time, and overall just make it a better, more engaging hiring experience. So thank you very much for your time. My name is Brad Heber. Appreciate the opportunity and would love to connect with you guys at any time. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brad. That was great. And again, yeah, a ton of awesome work that the Vetty team has done and huge feedback in this space, particularly as it relates to different types of employees. So thank you for that. I know there was a couple questions in the Q&A too on this one in international. So again, if you have any questions, just put those in the Q&A and we'll get responses to you right away. Last but very not least is XP Health. So we have Kevin here to talk to you about this awesome vision benefit that we've been working on the last few months.
Thanks for having me. Can you guys hear me okay? Perfect. Well, I want to start off by echoing what everyone else has said already. It's an honor to be part of the lab today, you guys, and we really appreciate all the great feedback we've gotten from Sequoia working with you guys over the last couple months. So thank you very much ahead of time. My name is Kevin Bobzine. I'm the Director of Sales for XP Health, and I'm going to share with you who XP Health is today, okay? So XP Health is the first artificial intelligence vision benefit that dramatically enhances the vision benefits that you currently have in place. So since COVID, we're all forced to work from home, and the hours have gone up between 8 to 14 hours per day, and we're all experiencing this. So like this slide shares, 72% of employees have digital eye strain. They have headaches, dry eyes, blurred vision. You're probably all saying, of course, all the Zoom meetings. So there's never been a better time to have great vision benefits in place. Next slide, please. So this has highlighted some of the major holes in vision plans today. A couple of those are you can't use your allowance that you get from your company if you don't have a prescription. You're limited to 1 pair of glasses per year or every 2 years. And your premiums double if you want to cover your family. Okay, so our plans are designed to cover everybody. So if you see on the left-hand side here, just exactly what I went over, you can't use that allowance you get from your employer if you, on your basic vision plan, if you don't have a prescription. And on the right, we're going to go ahead and fill all those holes. So we cover 100% of the workforce, whether you have insurance or not, whether you have prescription or not. And as you can see on the bottom, we also cover up to 6 family members in that one low price. Next slide, please. So our solution is very simple. Keep your basic vision plan to cover an eye exam. And instead of buying up or doubling your cost to cover your family, simply add XP Health to quadruple your benefits, cover your family, and enhance your plan while saving up to 30%. Next slide. So this is a great example of our latest, one of our latest case studies. If you see here, this is the employee savings with eyewear. So with the basic standalone vision plan, they saved about $17,493. Sorry, I got cut off a little bit there on the bottom. By adding XP Health, we simply tripled the allowance and covered up to 6 family members. So the savings goes from $17,000, a little bit more, to over $190,000 in that same year with the same company. Next slide. Uh-oh. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. So this is a snapshot of the artificial intelligence that I was talking about. This is me. And what our artificial intelligence software does is measure a couple thousand points on our face to make sure that you're getting the perfect pair of glasses. So we're the only company that has a face scan that narrows down hundreds of frames down to a handful of glasses that fit your face perfectly. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we also have personal stylists available to help you along the way. And you could choose up to 6 pair of glasses that we can help you to deliver to your house so you can have home try on available. So this dramatically cuts down on you driving around and keeps you home at home safe where you belong. Next slide. So one of the biggest questions they always ask SP Health is, do you guys carry all major brands? And the answer is yes. Not only do we cover all major brands, but we carry only the best of the best lenses, and we pass along the discounts by buying direct and having very little overhead, saving you and your employees up to 40% on your eyewear. And lastly, on this last slide here, here's just a couple examples of some of the clients that we're working with over the last couple months. We'd love to do a quick demo for you and your company over the next couple weeks so we can add, or so you can add XP Health to your enrollment this year, open enrollment. Our site's on the bottom of the page there, and we'd love to schedule and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, guys.
Perfect, thank you. And Kevin, you made me realize I need to grab my glasses. I haven't been wearing my Bluetooth ones, so I just put them on. Now I have them. These are my beautiful glasses that got shipped to me. They really are awesome. I've never worn glasses in my life, and the blue light was necessary. I was getting such bad headaches from being on the computer. So went on, did my whole screening, got this box shipped right to my house, tried on 6 pairs of glasses, pick one that works for me. And now we have these. Our company loves this. So again, really awesome benefit. Totally recommend you all try them out, even if you don't wear glasses like me and just want to try out blue light ones. It's really, really great. So again, feel free to put any questions in the chat, and I really, really appreciate all of you for jumping on. I'm going to pass it off to Camille to go ahead and wrap us up. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kalina. And thank you so much to Avi, Paul, Deborah, Brad, Kevin. Those presentations were awesome and so helpful and informative. And thank you also for the shout outs. A couple of last minute announcements as we wrap up. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we'll be sending you a follow-up email tomorrow morning with the link to this recording, so you can refer back or pass it on to a colleague that might find it helpful. We'll also send you a link to part 2 of this series that's happening at the same time on Thursday. And that webinar on Thursday is going to cover more virtual care concierge vendors. So you'll hear from Galileo, Physera, Pill Club, Rightway, and Wealthy. So you can sign up for that session at sequoia.com/events. We'll also send you that link in the follow-up email tomorrow, as I said. I also wanted to mention that Sequoia has a solution to help you navigate the path back to returning to work. It's called the Sequoia Return to Work Center. And I just wanted to share that we are starting something kind of new. We are offering demos of the Return to Work Center on Mondays and Tuesdays. They're really short. They're 20, 25-minute walkthroughs for you to kick the tires with our product people, for you to be able to see kind of what we're doing around return to work and how we might be able to help you. So if you go to sequoia.com/return to work, you can either sign up or click, join a 25-minute introductory demo and sign up for one of the times coming up. You'll see there. Perfect. It'll take you to this nice sign up page where you can sign up for an upcoming demo. So please join us for that. Again, I just wanted to say thank you to our speakers from today for preparing those materials. Thank you to Robbie and Kalina for your efforts around the Sequoia Innovation Lab. But we will continue this discussion on Thursday. And in the meantime, stay healthy and be well, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.